How much does the United States economy rely on the Chinese market? Since 2007, China has been the US's number one source of imports and in 2017 made up 22% of the total. Additionally, as of May 2019, China owns $1.1 trillion of US debt and uses this as economic leverage to raise and lower the value of the yuan in order to keep its export prices competitive. China owns about a fifth of US debt, and although this may sound bad, Americans do experience some benefits such as lower interest rates and consumer prices. The US economy also benefits because it spurs overall economic growth, but while Americans are enjoying low prices and a somewhat stable economy, China is beginning to use its economic power over the US to gain political leverage. China's communist government gives it complete control over its markets, which many foreign investors are interested in as it is so large. This has allowed China to spread its control and infringe on the free speech of individuals of the United States-involved companies. Since China launched its reforms, its economy has been on the rise, and if it continues at its current rate, it will be in position to surpass the US in just a few decades. In Zhou's book, Asian Perspectives, the impact China's rise will have on Western societies raises the concern of it threatening the United States' current position. The China threat theory argues that the Western-oriented system is valuable to China because this system is both open and a benefit to China's market economy. In 2004, the Pentagon reported that China had the second largest defense budget and its expenditures had reached from 50 to 70 billion, and since then has been increasingly expanding and modernizing its military capabilities. Although the Chinese government claims that China's relationship with the United States is the top priority, this fairly recent rise in economic and military power have put China's political agenda into question.
In 2015, China was still struggling with its image, and although it had already started to become an economic and military superpower, it severely lacked the ability to use soft power. Global public opinion surveys show that although many were impressed with China's economic leaps, its oppressive political system was tarnishing its reputation. Xi Jinping has made strong efforts to improve China's image since then, making a new national goal of, quote, increasing China's soft power, giving a good Chinese narrative, and better communicating China's message to the world. China has invested serious money into multiple new initiatives, those being the New Silk Road, the Asian Pacific Dream, and many others. Many believe that this was China's just making promises to improve its image. However, through these initiatives, they spend about $10 billion on foreign propaganda, which these programs are included in, and they have also promised an upwards of $1 trillion investment in the global arena. Internally, the country's political system believes heavily in the control of information, as to promote only their propaganda, really only letting their citizens know what the government wants them to know. In simpler terms, it's indoctrination. However, issues have arisen as China has begun to interact more and more with the outside world, requiring China to take more steps to maintain a grip on information. This has required control not just over information within the country, but outside as well. The lead organization in charge of this overwatch and purging of unwanted information is the State Council Information Office, or SCIO for short. All information makes its way here and is filtered to fit the Chinese narrative. With respect to that external information control, it has been making an aggressive effort to expand its media presence internationally. The primary goal being to break the Western media monopoly by recording the news and spreading communist propaganda. Money has been a key resource as they sell lower-priced news reports as to undercut Western markets. Reviving old propaganda radio stations, these transmit year-round in over 35 languages, and it includes over 20 overseas bureaus. Regarding television, it has launched a 24-hour English channel including 5 other languages through its CCTV, China Central TV, now global. The SCIO has also begun to intimidate foreign media and closely monitors what these foreign media outlets' messages are about China. In essence, it has begun global censorship of its image, permitting only what it deems appropriate to be said about itself. It has begun to ban and revoke the visas of any journalist or organization whose message it does not agree with. Globally, this has caused a trend of self-censorship, not just in journalism but other markets as well, when mentioning anything relating to China, as many fear losing their stake in the Chinese market. Speech, in essence, has been limited by money, China's new ally, and its use of soft power.
In most recent news, the National Basketball Association has had to deal with its own issues involving free speech in China. General Manager of the Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey, tweeted about how he supported Hong Kong's protesters, saying, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." China's CCTV responded saying, Mori had no right to freedom of expression on the issue, suspending NBA broadcasts in China, which is an enormous market for the NBA, with their large population. The NBA commissioner provided contradictory statements of defending the NBA's stance to Americans, but also apologizing to the Chinese. Although the NBA got into some of the worst trouble with China, this is not the first occurrence. Tiffany canceled an ad campaign because the model had a hand on her right eye, and Chinese critics claimed it was supporting pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. Blizzard Activision recently banned an esports player for an entire year for expressing support for Hong Kong during an interview. Apple banned pro-democracy singers from selling on Hong Kong iTunes.
In 2018, Winnie the Pooh, however innocent he may seem, posed a great risk to the Chinese government. A meme comparison between the current president Xi Jinping and Winnie the Pooh quickly began to spread, and the Chinese people saw it as a way to joke about their president. However, the spread of the meme was considered by the Chinese government, quote, a serious effort to undermine the dignity of the presidential office and Xi Jinping himself. First, the meme was censored and blocked in China, being completely erased. Then John Oliver, a comedian, joked about Xi Jinping's sensitivity and overreaction to the meme. His discussion also included many of the current humanitarian issues involving China. Then China responded by blocking HBO entirely, then further going on to block the release of Christopher Robin's in China, a film about Winnie the Pooh. South Park, an animated television show, has also addressed the sellout of many American companies to China as they try to enter the Chinese market. Again, the issue being that many companies are now scrutinizing what they themselves put out, as well as their employees, as to not upset China and lose out on a lot of money. Realizing the potential of the very tight Chinese market, companies are willing to give up part of their freedom of expression and speech to be able to capitalize. Currently, there has been conflict between the US and China in which there is an escalating trade war dispute. Many US companies that are invested in China fear this, as they will begin to lose out on the market they have worked so hard to enter, but it is currently still unknown how the two nations will proceed.
Overall, this current trend of US companies restricting their own freedoms in an attempt to satisfy China is a dangerous one. Companies see the possible profit in the Chinese market as greater than a guarantee of freedom. China's buildup of soft power has become very successful through their ally of money. It is able to impose its own laws of control and propaganda on nations who practice freedom of expression and speech, a good case being the United States. And because of its laws, the US cannot tell these companies what they will do, but rather just condone them. Most companies will take a scolding over a loss of opportunity. This is a slippery slope towards something greater, but we will see how it develops.